so excited to be sharing with you guys today. I'm here to share with you guys some of my testimonies. So I'll start at the beginning. When I was 1, my parents got divorced. I didn't really ever get to be a part of a whole and healthy family unit. And so when I was 2, somebody new was introduced into my life, and this person got really close to the family and was very trusted. And because of this, she had access to me and my sister Abby almost daily. This person ended up abusing my sister and I for the next 10 years, emotionally, physically, and sexually. During this time, my dad was really wrapped up in his work, and my mom was really struggling with depression and alcoholism. So they were both kind of in their own worlds. At 12 years old, that person was finally removed from me and my sister's life. Leaving an abusive environment, I struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like flashbacks, reoccurring nightmares of situations that had happened in the past, and just constant triggers of the last 10 years of abuse. I really did not know how to cope with this, and it isn't something that I had told anyone about yet. So at 12, I started using drugs. From that point, at 12 years old on, addiction became a constant battle in my life, and a battle that I more often than not ended up losing. At 15, I started breaking into cars and robbing them for money to buy drugs. At 15, I got caught for stealing cars, and I was given an ultimatum. Either I could stay in Toronto, be homeless, and charged with grand theft auto, or I could just go to rehab willingly. So needless to say, I went to rehab, and I actually ended up being there for a year and a half. It was really good for me and at least kept me sober for the time being. But most of all, it helped me to see that my childhood traumas didn't really have to define me anymore. After finishing rehab, I actually got a scholarship for math excellence to a university in Toronto, and I was motivated just to stay on a good path. I was just looking for a job to be able to just fully graduate out of my rehab program. And while I was looking for a job, I ended up going to what I thought was a job interview. And instead, I was taken to a parking lot and ended up getting raped and left there by myself. I remember that moment being one of the scariest moments of my life. I just wanted to numb, so I went back to partying and using drugs. During this time, me and my older sister, Abby, got really close. She was only 2 years older than me, so there wasn't really much of an age difference. And she was my best friend. Over the past 6 years, we kept hearing the same thing, and that's the path that we were on only leads to one place, and that's death. I heard it a lot, but I never actually believed it until it happened. So when I was 18, my big sister was murdered. That loss really spiraled me into a dark place, and for the next year and a half, I wanted to die every day. I started looking for love and validation in all the wrong places. When I knew things really needed to change, I was waking up every morning screaming and crying because I was still alive. My dad tried to intervene and get me help so many times, and he took me to a deliverance session. And it wasn't an automatic switch, but it did switch my perspective of God from someone who was just letting me go through all of this trauma to someone who was right there with me through it all. I remember getting back home that night to my apartment that I lived in by myself and just weeping on the floor and just thanking God for showing up. I never felt his presence that strong before, and I knew that that was going to be a turning point for me. After the deliverance session, I started praying daily and just trying to get into the word and even listening to the Bible on Audible. After that day at deliverance, I never woke up again screaming and crying, which was daily for about a year and a half. My dad knew that I needed to get out of my environment for any change to actually stick. We ended up going to a road trip around the States, and halfway through ended up at Transform Our World, which is like a global Christian conference. And while I was there, I received a lot of prayer from a lot of really amazing people. But I also got attacked a lot during the time of being there and really struggled. All of this in the way that my dad has been there for me and loved me through the good, the bad, and the ugly has just so beautifully emulated God's love. I was able to start to understand the Father's heart because I had my dad on earth that was actually a reflection of that. I started to learn more about God and really wanted to walk in the fullness of life that God has for each and every one of us. The shift in my life has been pretty fast, and looking back, sometimes it's even hard for me to understand, but Jesus just completely took over. It was like once I had a taste of who God was, I could not go back, and I just started running, just full tilt towards him. In following the Lord, he brought me to Hawaii to Youth with a Mission to do a discipleship training school, which was amazing. And for the first time in my life, I really got to understand and walk into a relationship with Jesus. In the first week of my DTS, the lectures were about hearing God's voice. And just learning about it, the idea made me so excited, and it made my heart race, but it also kind of made me frustrated because I just felt like I couldn't do it. And there was just a fear that came with just trying to step out in that. And I remember it was during my 2-week quarantine that I had to do when I was here. So the first thing I asked God was what he thought about me. And it came like a flood. And just so many things came to me all at once, things that I didn't think or know about myself that in that moment, the Lord just really revealed to me. I started getting prophetic words. I started getting visions. He was speaking to me through dreams in the night. After that, obedience just kind of came naturally. To me, that makes sense because obedience isn't supposed to come out of a place of duty or thinking that this is what you have to do, because that's not going to last. My obedience came as a response to God's love and faithfulness. To tell you guys one of the really cool stories. It was one of the first times about hearing God's voice that just really blew me away, and it was during my DTS as well. And I have been or had been on depression medication for years, and every day I'm like taking my pill, and every day I'm hearing the same thing. I'm hearing, Bryn, like, you don't need that. And every morning I'm taking these and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, why I'm hearing this, but like I definitely need these, like, and so I just keep taking them. And one day I'm like taking it again, and the Lord's like, Bryn, what did I already tell you? Like, you don't need these anymore. And then one day in prayer and fasting, I got this vision, and I'm like lying in my room, like face down, just praying. And the Lord gives me this image, and it's me going down onto the deck, kind of where there's like a cafeteria area with tables and stuff. And I'm down there. I have like my 2 bottles of my pills, and I'm pouring these pills in the garbage. And there's a few girls standing behind me with their hands on me, just praying for me. And then there's other people that are on the deck that are clapping and just cheering me on. And I was like, okay, you know what? I've gotten enough confirmation. This is the Lord. I'm just going to do it. And I go downstairs, I get like my bottle of pills, and I get my backup bottle as well. And I go downstairs to the deck. I'm standing in front of the garbage cans, and I'm like, some of my friends and some of the staff are sitting on the deck, and I'm just like, okay, guys, like, I'm just going to pour these out. Like, I don't need these anymore. These 4 girls come behind me. They're laying hands on me, praying through me. I dump my pill bottle out in the trash can, and the people on the deck are cheering. And I realized it's the exact vision that the Lord has just given me. The same people on the deck, the same people behind me praying. And it was insane. And I didn't have any withdrawals from stopping taking the medication. So it's just been such an amazing journey, just being in relationship with the Lord. And even though I haven't been walking with him for that long, I'm someone that's either all in or I'm not. I want my life to just be this pursuit after the Lord. And so I made a decision that I'm all in. You know, another thing that I had to surrender to the Lord was my control over my future. I've tried to direct my life, and I was not very good at it, as you can hear from my whole story. I just committed to seeking the Lord before making any big decisions in my life. And when like looking for next steps, it really just takes the pressure off me as well to feel like I need to take all the right steps or be in the right places at the right times, because I understand that I'm walking in full surrender, and whatever the Lord has for me is going to come. I trust that he's going to build a community for me, even here in Kona, of people that I'm supposed to be around. And that he's going to surround me with exactly who I'm supposed to be with. And, you know, that's still part of my prayers. The Lord is doing everything for a reason, and that it's going to come. And walking in full surrender has totally changed the direction of my life. In the last year, just letting the Lord have control over my life, he has done so much, and it's been so insane. You know, like I said before, he healed my depression. He, you know, delivered me from suicide and addiction. He took away my social anxiety. I was delivered from an ungodly lifestyle. With Jesus in my life, I've overcome my entire past. I wrote my first book, and I'm starting to co-write a second one with my dad soon about fighting for family, which I'm really excited about. And, you know, with all of that being said, like, this is the God we serve. Like, he does not hold back anything good from us. And, you know, I've just really been able to see that firsthand in this last year. I think that God has created my whole generation to walk in insane supernatural authority. And not because of who we are and not because of anything that we've done, but because of who our Father is. We all feel so lost and broken. And it's because we're called to so much more. And a life without Jesus just isn't enough.